Look at you. Trying again, huh? Putting someone else at the center, waiting once more to be seen. But listen, as long as you keep putting yourself last, you will continue to feel that emptiness tearing you apart from the inside. You need to choose yourself. Now. It's not selfish. It's survival. There's no point in begging for attention from someone who doesn't even know how to handle their own silence. If you don't respect yourself, no one will. If you don't listen to yourself, no one will stop to hear you. If you don't love yourself, everything becomes a need disguised as passion. Enough. You weren't born to beg for space in anyone's life. You are presence. You are whole. Those who can't see that can move on. But you stay with yourself, with everything you feel, with everything you need. Now say it out loud, without fear, without shame. I choose myself. I will not abandon myself anymore. So listen. Because this is no longer about the other person. It's about how much you've allowed your own absence to become routine. It's about every time you silenced a pain to keep someone else comfortable. Every time you shrank yourself to avoid being too much. Every time you felt that to be loved, you had to diminish yourself. But that's not love. It never was. You've distorted yourself trying to fit into the space of someone who was never whole. And you didn't realize that while you were giving yourself away, you were losing yourself. Little by little, slowly, to the exact rhythm of someone who gets used to absence until they think it's the norm. But you are still here. You still feel. You still wait. You still carry the hope that someone will come and see what no one else wanted to recognize. But before being seen, you need to face yourself. Without fear. Without emotional makeup. Look at yourself. See that longing you feel that isn't even for someone else. It's yours. It's the longing for yourself. For what you've erased, trying to be accepted. No one told you, but you didn't need to adapt. You didn't need to erase what you feel just to keep someone close. Who loves you stays through the storms. And if they leave when you decide to be true to yourself, then they were never really there. You need to stop convincing yourself that everything is okay. You need to stop justifying disrespect with phrases like, "That's just how they are. Maybe I'm overreacting. I make mistakes too." Yes, you make mistakes. But mistakes never justify abandonment. Your failures are not an excuse to be ignored. And what you feel, even if it's confusing, is valid. It's worthy. It's real. How many more times will you need to be hurt to understand that love starts within you? How many sleepless nights will you spend trying to make sense of someone's silence who simply lacks the courage to be honest? You deserve the truth, even if it hurts. And yes, it might hurt. It hurts to realize that the person you hoped would change won't. It hurts to admit that you gave everything, and it still wasn't enough to hold on. But worse is staying there, knowing nothing will change. Even worse is continuing to betray yourself in the name of something that only exists within you. You need to break free from this illusion. You need to stop mistaking attachment for love. Because love doesn't hurt like that. It doesn't erode your self-esteem. It doesn't make you beg for attention. It doesn't leave you afraid to be who you are. You need to come back to yourself, to that place you abandoned in the rush to be accepted. Come back to your center, to your silence, to your body, and there rediscover the voice you silenced for so long. It's not easy, no one said it would be, but it's necessary. Because if you don't choose yourself now, the world will keep putting you last, because it's you who teaches others how you deserve to be treated. It hurts, I know, but this pain can also be your cry for freedom. It can be the turning point for a new beginning. Don't romanticize suffering, but don't deny it either. Use it, feel it, transform it. Wearing masks does no good. Putting on a brave face when you're in pieces doesn't help. Your strength lies in allowing yourself to feel. In crying, yes, but also in getting up and moving on. Even trembling, even hurt, but whole. Because now it's about you, not about the other person, not about the absence. It's about what you do with that absence. You can keep trying to save someone who doesn't even know they're sinking, or you can save yourself. You can stop giving energy to those who only know how to drain you. You can stop maintaining connections that have already crumbled inside. And yes, that is scary. Loneliness screams, but it also clears. It brings you back. It quiets the noise outside, so you can finally hear your own voice. You don't need to lose yourself anymore. You don't need to beg for love anymore. You don't need to accept halves, crumbs, half-promises and absences disguised as presents. You need to be honest with yourself. Right now. No excuses, no buts, no what-ifs, because no one is going to give you what you haven't given yourself yet. And what you deserve is so much more than this half-hearted love you were taught to accept. You deserve presence. Eyes looking into yours, truth spoken at the right time, arms that don't let go when you reveal your flaws. And that starts with you. You need to embrace yourself even on your most unbearable days, to accept yourself even when you don't understand, to love yourself even when everything seems to be falling apart. It's there that you build your worth. It's there that true self-love is born, in the midst of the chaos. And when you choose yourself, when you truly choose yourself, the world around you changes. The voids lose their power. The wrong people leave without you having to plead. And what is real starts to find its way, but only after you close the door on everything that made you doubt yourself. So, close it. Close the door on those who only reach out when it's convenient. Close the door on broken promises. Close the door on everything that makes your soul hurt in silence, and make space for you to breathe, for you to truly exist. It's not too late. You're still here, you still have time, you can still start over, but you need to choose now. Choose to stop waiting. Stop justifying, stop hiding, and simply decide to return to yourself. Do you know what paralyzes you? This illusion that it could still work if you just try a little harder. That voice whispering that you are the problem. That maybe, just maybe, if you are more patient, more kind, more understanding, he or she will realize what they have in their hands. But enough is enough. This is the last lie you need to debunk. You weren't difficult, you weren't exaggerating, you weren't too needy. You were being true to yourself. You just wanted reciprocity. You just wanted to be looked at with the same depth you offered. And the problem isn't wanting everything, it's accepting almost nothing. You no longer have time to insist on someone who treats you like an option. You can't convince yourself that love is what comes only when it's convenient. What kind of love is this that you have to force your presence, that only shows up when you threaten to leave? That's not love, that's convenience. You've become the comfort zone of someone who doesn't understand what commitment means. And now you need to be harsh with the lie. You need to say enough until your very soul believes it. You weren't born to be almost, nor to settle for cold messages, dry responses, silences that hurt more than harsh words. You are not anyone's draft. Do you know what is most beautiful about you? It's that pure desire to be whole, that genuine wish to love without measuring, without hiding. Don't lose that, but channel it correctly. Give it to someone who is ready to receive, to someone who doesn't run away when you break down, to someone who stays when everything gets tough, to someone who doesn't make you doubt your own worth. And you know, deep down you know, you've always known. The truth was in the little details, in the averted gaze, in the constant absence, in the automatic touch, in the rehearsed excuses. You saw it, but you chose to believe in hope. But hope that ties you to what destroys you is disguised imprisonment. And now it's time to stop justifying yourself. It's time to stop accepting so little. Stop normalizing emptiness. You need to learn to leave before you become unrecognizable to yourself, before you're so hurt that starting over feels impossible. But look at yourself now, there's still something inside you, there's still fire, there's still faith. You weren't made to fade away. You were made to ignite the world with everything you feel. You just need to stop wasting that fire on those who only want to get close to the embers but never get burned. Breathe. For the first time in a long while, breathe for yourself, without needing to prove anything, without expecting anything. Just breathe and feel. You are here. And that's enough, because now you begin to exist again. And in existing, you start to change everything. You begin to speak with conviction, to make choices consciously, to say no without guilt, to look in the mirror without shame, to wear your presence like armor. And you become untouchable, not in the sense of shutting yourself off, but in the sense of no longer accepting anything less, of not negotiating your dignity, of not allowing others to define who you are. Because you already know, and that scares them. It scares those who wanted you dependent. It scares those who fed on your doubt. But it sets you free, and freedom, my God, it's strange at first, silent, lonely. But then, it gives back what no one else could. You with your choices, with your intensity, with your pain, with your light, with your voice. And over time, the empty spaces stop hurting. They begin to be a home for peace, for presence, for the love that comes first from within. And then, yes, if someone comes along, they come fully, not to fill what's missing, but to overflow what is already full. And until then, you remain, being a shelter for yourself, being truth, being whole, even when the world insists on fragmenting you. Because now, nothing is greater than the commitment you make to yourself. Not fear, not absence, not the past. You are the full stop to the pain that accompanied you. You are the fresh start that no one else could give you. You are the answer. And you don't need anyone else to validate that. And if someone asks where you've been all this time, tell the truth. I've been busy trying to remember who I am. It wasn't wasted time, it was survival. It was rebuilding. You don't need people to understand or to accept you. This journey is yours, and if along the way people fall by the roadside, let them. It's not abandonment, it's freedom. It's you saying enough without needing to shout. It's you choosing not to bleed anymore for those who don't bleed with you. You have learned, in the pain, in the absence, in the silence, you've learned that erasing yourself never brought true presence. That staying quiet never stopped the hurt. That waiting too long only pushed you away from yourself. Now you know. Now you feel. That you don't need to be half to have company. That you don't need to beg to be remembered. That you don't need to destroy yourself to keep someone whole. You need to be where your soul doesn't have to hide. Where your flaws don't frighten. Where your intensity isn't a reason for rejection. And that starts now, with this silent yet strong choice. The moment has come to look into your own eyes and say, I'm here. I'm not running away from myself anymore. From here on out, you don't beg. You don't insist, you don't force, you just allow yourself to be, to feel, to move forward. And if someone wants to join, they must come with truth. Because you won't accept anything less, so take a deep breath. And not because it will ease everything, but because for the first time in a long time, you need to feel that you are still here. Amidst the chaos, the pain, the memories that insist on resurfacing, amidst the days when everything seems silent inside, you are still here, and that matters, because now you're starting to understand that no one is coming to rescue you. No one is going to hold your hand with the same strength you were hoping for, unless you do it for yourself. Enough. Enough of waiting for someone to validate you. Enough of living on the margins of yourself, waiting for a glance that doesn't come. Whoever didn't know how to see you while you were giving yourself away doesn't deserve what comes from you now. You spent too much time trying to fit into spaces that always suffocated you, and the more you tried, the more you lost the sparkle in your eyes. But something changed. You reached your limit, and now you need to understand. This limit is not your end. It's your turning point. It's here in this moment when everything inside you is begging for silence and a fresh start that the rebuilding begins. It won't be clean, it won't be pretty, but it will be real. Because you no longer want to live in emotional survival mode. You want to live fully, with purpose, with wholeness. And that's only possible when you decide not to abandon yourself anymore. Come back. Come back to everything you've hidden. Come back to your own story, without shame for what you felt, what you lived, what you endured in silence. Come back with trembling hands but a willing soul. Come back and tell yourself, I am no longer what others expected of me. I am what I choose to be from now on. You don't need to be understood by everyone, but you urgently need to accept yourself, not as an unfinished project waiting for someone to shape you, but as someone who, even when wounded, is ready to walk on their own, even if you fall, even if you bleed. Because now, every step is free. You will no longer chase after those who forget you easily. You will no longer crawl for crumbs of attention. You will no longer beg for answers where there is only silence. Because you understood, finally understood. It's not about the other. It never was. It's about how you treat yourself when you are alone. About what you accept, what you allow, what you carry out of fear of letting go. So let go. Now, without explanation, without justification. Let go of everything that weighs more than it's worth. Let go of promises that never went beyond paper. Let go of the idea that love has to hurt. And stay. Stay with yourself. Stay in your pain, but also in your strength. Stay in the discomfort of being honest, even when it's scary. Stay until your presence becomes the safest place you've ever known. Because when you learn to stay, the whole world starts to spin differently. You stop begging and start choosing. You stop asking and start owning your space. You stop chasing and begin to attract what resonates at the same frequency. And yes, that pushes a lot away. But everything that leaves makes room for what truly matters to come in. You no longer need to be accepted. You need to be real, to yourself, for yourself. Now listen to me. With everything you still feel inside, you are not neediness, you are intensity, you are not excessive, you are truth, you are not hard to love. You just got tired of accepting love that's too small. And now, you have a choice before you. To go back to abandoning yourself to please others, or to choose yourself once and for all, and never look back. And if you've made it this far, it's not by chance, it's because something in you is asking to be born again. So write it here in the comments right now, without fear, with courage. I choose myself. I come back to me. I will not abandon myself anymore. Make it known. Declare it boldly. Make this space your starting point. If this message has moved you in any way, hit the like button now. This shows me, Fao and the algorithm, that you want more content like this. Subscribe to the channel. Here we don't speak with masks. Here the truth comes raw, but it's liberating. And every week there's more words that heal, more truths that challenge, more fresh starts that embrace. And never forget this. You deserve to feel at home within yourself. And the first step starts now.